To close out this episode, we're back to Phantasy Star 2. As I said last episode, we're starting this one with me grinding Cher up to level 10 before I move on with the plot. I get teleporting straight to Piata to grind outside. While I'm there, I decide to armour her up so she has slightly less of a chance to die in one hit, being level 1 and all. Or I would if I could afford any of this. Can't be asked to teleport somewhere else, so she'll just have to deal. Then she dies in the first fight. How could I have known that would happen? After I revive her, I win the next fight and reach level 2. The very next fight is against 3 of those head rot that killed her last time, but she survives and the experience boosts her up to level 5. 2 fights later, she then reaches level 6 and learns Ryuka. Another 2 fights later, she reaches level 7. I teleport to Zemma to buy her a laser knife. Yet again, 2 fights is all it takes to get her to level 8. Things slow down a little after this, not just for the increase in XP requirements, but for not getting the fights that give more of it. Now she can easily survive 3 head rots, I don't encounter many of them anymore. After nearly 10 minutes, Anna reaches level 14 and Cher reaches level 9 and learns Hinas. 4 minutes later, I buy her another laser knife, but when I leave the shop, Cher is gone. I have to return to Rolf's house to get her back. She says she went for a walk, but actually she stole from that shop. In this case it was a fire staff. This is something she can do at random. It's also the reason I'm grinding her to level 10, since what I want her to steal requires that level. Back to grinding. Rolf reaches level 15 and Ney reaches level 29. A minute and a half later, Cher reaches level 10. Now for what I needed her for. I return to the central tower in Paseo and constantly enter the item storage room until Cher disappears. It takes a couple minutes of repeating this, but when she does and I get her back, she stole a Visiphone. This is very useful because now I can save anywhere instead of just at a data memory building. It is a pain I had to go to this effort when the first game let you save anywhere from the beginning though. That was a nice 40 minutes for Cher, but now I'm benching her for Rudolph. Cher just isn't that useful in battle, I'm afraid. I also take the chance to give Amy the fire staff Cher stole before benching her too to keep Anna. No level ups after 13 minutes, but I did build up the money to buy Rudolph a laser shot from Kuwari. 2 minutes later, Rudolph reaches level 12. 5 minutes later, I buy a second laser slasher for Anna. At this point, just hoping I get head rots is making this go too slowly, so I go to my jet scooter. As I set off, I get my first new enemy of the episode, a pug kill. Just heading west from Kuwari takes me to this island with a huge mountain on it. This is Uzo Island. If you remember the first game, Uzo was a town on Motavia. It was south of Paseo and we'd land here in Villavino after the spaceports were closed. Now the town is gone and all that remains is this mountain. Last episode there was a guy in Kuwari who wanted Maruera leaves to make a gum that let people breathe underwater. I need this to be able to reach Climatrol and the leaves can only be found here. There's one slight issue though. This place is a big maze and of the 7 Maruera trees at the top, only one of them will give me the leaves. But first I'm going to hang out at the entrance and use the stronger enemies for grinding. Head rots are still here and I get a stronger variant of the Wolfang, the Burn Wolf. Also a new variant of the Hit Tail, the Scaly. I also get better money here, and it's not long before I have the 6300 Meseta to buy Anna a titanium cape from Kuwari. At this point I finally decide to get going through the island to continue the plot. My first step is to go east and up the stairs, then west and up the next 2 sets of stairs, west and down the stairs, west and up the stairs, all the way west and down again, then east and down 2 more sets, east some more and upstairs, then west to a cave entrance I've marked A. This puts me out of the entrance I've marked B. From here I go east, upstairs, east again, upstairs, east and upstairs once more, then east and down again to the entrance marked C. I come out the entrance marked D where I go west and up the stairs to the tree that gets me leaves. Just look at all that wasted space. If I wasn't already using the guide to make sure I got every treasure, then I would have absolutely given in and used one to this place at least. My next new enemy here is an entirely new type, the Catman. A few minutes later is the next level up from Fire Eye, the Glow Stick. Killing these gets Ney to level 30. 4 minutes later, Rudolph reaches level 13. That's all that happens here as a minute later I reach the correct tree and grab the Maruera leaves. Didn't sound like long, but I just cut down 12 minutes for you. Instead of teleporting out, I decide to walk back for the money and XP. I get another new enemy type on the way out, the Blockhead. Nearly 5 minutes later, Anna reaches level 15. That's all before I get back out. I return to Kuwari and hand over the leaf and he makes me the Maruera gum, which allows my party to breathe underwater. With this, I can now finally reach Climatrol and find out why energy was being diverted from it to the Biosystems lab. I teleport to Piata to buy a ceramic chest for Rolf. I'm not sure why ceramic is stronger than titanium, but before I head to Climatrol I want to upgrade my equipment more, so I get back to grinding at Uzo. It's at this point I remember that the PS4 collection I'm playing this on has a fast forward function. I'm always iffy on using stuff like this, but it's not like I'm playing an emulator and using it to cheat. This function is built into the disc I'm playing this on. Plus, when it comes to large stretches of grinding, I have my own sanity to consider too. Let's just say that my final grind next episode was soul crushing enough that I can't bear the thought of doing it without fast forward. I'll only be using this for grinding and random encounters though, not for anything new. I just wish I remembered this last episode. I could have cut down the grinding time by an hour or two. Eventually I have the money to buy Anna a ceramic cape. Not long after I return, Rolf reaches level 16 and learns Gizan, a version of Zan that targets a group of enemies. A few fights later, Rudolph reaches level 14, and then Ney reaches level 31 in the very next fight. Back to Piata to buy Rolf a laser sword, sacrificing an extra attack each turn, but it's more powerful than 2 laser knives. Then after selling some stuff off, I buy Ney a jewel ribbon. 15 minutes after that, I have the 20 grand to buy Rudolph a laser cannon, the 4th strongest cannon in the game. A couple minutes after I get back, Anna reaches level 16 and learns Fanby. This has her deal damage and then heal herself for that same amount of damage. 3 minutes later, Ney reaches level 32. Next fight has Rudolph reach level 15. Soon after I had the money to buy Rudolph a ceramic armour and Anna a silver crown. Back out at sea, I get a new variant of the pug kill, the Pug Brat. It's time to check out Climatrol now. I keep going south of Uzo Island until I see this one whirlpool. Before I can get there, I have to go through this underwater floor first. From the stairs I go west and south the first chance I get. I keep going west and then follow the path all the way to the north end. Once I reach it, I take the next fork southwest to the next room. As you might guess, all these red tiles on the floor are damage tiles, and many of them I have no choice but to walk over, and thanks to their size I have to take 2 steps on each of them. While down here I get a new amoeba variant, the Slug Mess. These can be a pain because if you leave one alive at the end of a turn, they can then spawn 2 more. Nothing else happens and I reach those stairs to enter Climatrol proper. The first floor is simple, I go south, west, south and west to reach floor 2. There I just go east a little to floor 3. I go south my first chest, then north to floor 4. Another small one, I go south to floor 5, grabbing my second chest on the way. I start off this floor in the centre. I go north all the way east and north again to floor 6. From there I go south and west to get to floor 7. I go south to a chest, then south some more and east to go back down to floor 6. I go all the way south, then west, north and east back up to floor 7. Here I can only go to floor 8. Then it's all the way east back down to floor 7. I head east and south to my 4th chest, then backtrack and go west to floor 6 again. I walk east along the edge of the pit to my 5th chest, then take the teleporter I passed on the way back to floor 7. Here I take a few steps south to floor 6 again. I go southeast which takes me back to floor 5. I return to the centre of the room and then go all the way southwest and back to floor 6, then northeast to get back to floor 7. I go west to grab my 6th chest and go back the way I came. Back on floor 6 I go south, back down to floor 5. I head back to the middle, enter the northwest area and go north to take the teleporter in the middle of the northern wall to floor 6, then 2 steps east to floor 7. I head south, east and south at the fork to go back to floor 6. I go west for the 7th and final chest, then back to where I started and east and south back to floor 7. All the way west, back onto floor 8. Here I go east, take the second path to the north going further east, then northeast some more to my target. This mid-game dungeon took more images to explain than the final dungeon of Final Fantasy IV. My first encounter here is against the next level of infected Anus, the Blastoid. The first chest is a jewel ribbon. Don't step into the hole in the middle or it will drop you down to floor 2. I get the next level of Blockhead on my way back, the Firia. The second chest contains a fibre vest. I get a new Wolffang variant, the Flare Wolf. The third chest in this place is just some sandals. Next new enemy is a Fire Eye variant, the Forest. 4th chest gets me a laser bar. 5th chest is knife boots. I give them to Anna as an upgrade over her normal boots. Rolf reaches level 17 when I get lost choosing the wrong teleporter when I was supposed to be going to the southwest corner of floor 5. The 6th chest is a ceramic bar. This is the point where I decide to leave to heal and come back. Thing is, when I come back, I always have to deal with that underwater part with the damage tiles every time. The final chest in this place is a silver ribbon. A fight later, Ney reaches level 33. During the final step of this dungeon, I get a new Catman variant, the Cat Eye. At the end of all this, in the middle of floor 8 is a woman who looks a lot like Ney. This is Ney First, born 2 years ago as a result of experiments combining human and animal parts. She escaped and stole the DNA data from the Biosystems lab. She's the reason for the increase in biomonsters as revenge on those who played with her life. However, she wasn't the only Ney. Our Ney was originally just part of Ney First, but didn't hate humans and rebelled against Ney First, separating herself from her. Ney can't allow Ney First to continue causing destruction and the two fight one-on-one, but it doesn't go well as Ney First kills Ney in one blow. Ney begs Rolf not to allow humans to make the same mistakes they made when they created her, and she dies. Rolf swears to avenge her and only now are we actually taking on the game's first boss. Part of what makes Ney First tricky is that we're down to 3 party members from the beginning, and since I left Amy at home, Rolf is the only one that can heal, so I die the first time, but thanks to my fantastic Visiphone, I'd saved right in front of her. So let's try this again. Nae First has 1100 HP and a higher attack stat than anything I've faced so far, and of course the footage of my first turn corrupted in the most important fight this episode. I simply have Anna and Rudolph attack while Rolf casts Nathoi. Everyone is stocked with Trimates to heal when needed. She has 2 attacks, a sort of lightsaber looking thing that hits one character, and a full party claw attack. In the end, Anna gets the final blow in. Rolf tries to wake Nae up, but she's too dead for it to work. I should also say that if you grind enough and kill Nae First as Nae, then Nae will still die. Nae's part of Nae First, so killing Nae First kills Nae too. Climatrol's weather control system starts freaking out. Without Nae First controlling it, all the diverted energy is returning at once. Water starts spraying and filling up the dried lake once again. The place starts exploding and the desert-looking areas we've been seeing below the towns are already filled up with water. The party quickly return to Paseo. They first visit the clone labs to try and revive Nae. We get a mistranslation here, or it was cut for space, so I have to explain. She says Nae can't be revived because she can't clone people who aren't fully human. Obviously that doesn't make sense because she was able to clone her before this. The actual reason is that with Climatrol destroyed and no longer powering the Biosystems lab, plus Nae First's death, she no longer has access to the DNA pattern to Nae's non-human parts, making it impossible to reconstruct her. She recommends the party bury Nae in a plateau north of Paseo and gives the incredibly insulting "your friend led a full life." She was 1 year old. So, Nae's death. I don't know when I first heard of it, but I'd known about this for at least 13 years. For over a decade before I played this game, it was the only plot point I knew about. It's often brought up as the 16-bit era's equivalent to a certain PS1 Final Fantasy death. You know, where Amarant's freakish proportions for a human cause him circulatory issues leading to a death at the young age of 26. That one. But I've got to say, this got no reaction from me. It's possible knowing it over a decade in advance is part of the reason, but there's also the fact that there just wasn't much to Nae's character. The moment she faces Nae First and dies is only the second time she speaks in the entire game. But this isn't an issue with just Nae, there's barely anything to every party member, which is fine considering the time this game was released. If this was someone's first RPG, I can easily see someone getting attached to Nae and being gutted when she dies. Without a guide and just blindly feeling their way around the world, they'd have spent much longer with her than I did in this playthrough. I return to the central tower where things aren't exactly improving. The entire rain supply has been pumped into the lake and it's overflowing. If left, all of Motavia will be flooded. We go back to speak with the commander. He says the only way to deal with this is to open the dams. Rolf volunteers, but there's another issue. The government back on Palma are scapegoating us as the reason Mother Brian is trying to kill everyone. Palma's security system is now trying to hunt the party down. Rolf says they'll find him sooner or later, even if he tries hiding, so there's nothing to lose trying to open the dams. I check out the library and read its entry on the dams. There are rivers running from the lake in all 4 cardinal directions, with dams built between them. To actually get into the dams, I need a coloured keycard that matches that dam's colour. The cards are in a control tower, but its location is a secret. But first, we need someone to take Nae's place in the party. Kane is finally going to see some use, after being the only party member unused and still at level 1. I teleport to Piata to get him equipped. I get him some ceramic armour and a laser shot, then over to Zemma to get him a Titanimet. Now to grind him up. Outside Zemma we can now see the overflowing lake surrounding us. Now that the Biosystems lab is no longer being powered, biomonsters are gone from the planet, but now the Palman government are after me. This means all enemies on Motavia are now machines, starting with this metal man. This is where Kane finally gets to shine. The enemies he was designed to fight will actually appear now. He starts with 2 techniques. Foy is not new to us, but Froza halves a machine's physical accuracy. From this one fight, Kane goes from level 1 to level 5. He learns Aegea at level 5, which damages a group of machines. Next fight is another new enemy, Mazgamma. Kane reaches level 6 from this fight. Next fight gets into level 7 and teaches him Gaj, which deals damage to a single machine. More new enemies in the fight after, Whistle. Kane reaches level 8 from them. Another new enemy, Mecho Man from the next fight. Rudolph reaches level 16. Next fight, Kane reaches level 9 and learns Conte, which halves a machine's special accuracy. Next fight gives me Polesi, another new machine. 3 fights later, Kane learns Zan and Gigaj, a stronger version of Gaj. A few minutes later, he reaches level 11. Next fight sees Anna reach level 17. Not long after, Kane reaches level 12. Time to find that control tower. I walk to Piata. At the north end of town, I can cross this road over to the west side and then move south. Once I hit a wall, I go west some more to find 3 towers. I can enter the middle one, which turns out to be the control tower. Well, this is only 2 floors, so it shouldn't be that bad. Now let's have a look at Fucking hell. What's all this shit? 1, 2, I count 69 teleporters on this floor. Look, I know big confusing maps with lots of dead ends was standard for a lot of JRPGs of the time, but look at this room. This could only have been made out of hatred. So to start, I go all the way north around the walls in the middle. I then take the 4th teleporter from the left corner to floor 2. I go all the way south and then west to teleport back to floor 1. Then it's south a few steps back to floor 2, then east 2 steps to floor 1, then east some more to floor 2, then east again to floor 1, then north, east, skipping 1 and south to floor 2. East again to floor 1, north to floor 2 again, then it's east and north to interact with this object to get those keycards. That's 75% of a dungeon that's just wasted space. The entire east half is just a dead end. My first enemy here is a new type, the Wire Face. There's also a pallet swap of the Whistle, the Informer. And that's literally it until I reach the organ in the middle of floor 2. This is what I needed the music technique I learned last episode for. Hope you didn't teach it today or you're paying for it again. Actually, I wonder if that's the gameplay reason Ustvestia charges women more to learn music, a way to discourage the player from teaching it to Nae without giving away her death? Playing the organ opens a door to the north, which allows me to grab the 4 keycards to the dams. Red, green, yellow and blue. The only thing is that they each take up a separate space in my limited inventory. On the way out, Kain reaches level 13 and learns Sag, which damages all machines in battle. Inspecting the organ again will allow me to warp out. Now I have the keycards, it's time to deal with these dams. South of Zemmer, I ride the jet scooter up the canal into the Red Dam. North from the entrance is a door that requires the red card to open. Once through the door, I go northwest to go to the basement. Then it's all the way south and northwest back to floor 1. Then it's southeast up to floor 2. It leads to a small room with my first chest. I then go back to floor 1. I go to the southwest corner back into the basement. I go north and then east back to floor 1. Then west to the northwest corner and up to floor 2 again. I go south and east around this pit, then east some more through the long tunnel avoiding more pits. I go south to grab the second chest and then go all the way east to go back down to floor 1. Then it's south back to the basement. I go northwest to the third and final chest, then backtrack and follow the long path west, north and east back to floor 1. Then south, west and south again back to floor 2. Finally, I just go west to my end goal. In the basement I get a new enemy type, the Eyesore. Even with Rolf and Nana's usefulness being lessened by the machine's high defences, I'm still not struggling with them. The first chest is a fire slasher that goes to Anna. Next new enemy is a Sonomech. I don't even need Kain's techniques right now. Rudolph and Kain's cannons deal enough damage to take them out alone. I didn't realise this was new, which is why I'm speeding through it, but I get Wire Head, next level up from Wire Face. The second chest is a Fire Staff. Last chest in here is a Sword of Anger, which replaces Rolf's Laser Sword. Right after, Kain reaches level 14 and learns Gra. A new variant of the Polezi shows up, the Polezi Axe. My aim was to reach this slot for the red card that opens the red dam and releases the water. That's all, so I warp out. After healing, I warp to Koeri to get my jet scooter on the west side of the planet. Just before getting on it, Rudolph reaches level 17, and in the next fight, Rolf reaches level 18. Going north from Koeri, I reach the canal leading into the Yellow Dam. Just east of the entrance is a door requiring the yellow card. This one's more complex, being 1 floor bigger than the red dam. After going through the door, I go all the way to the east end and take the northern teleporter out to floor 2. I go west, north to a fork and all the way west to floor 3. Up there I grab the first chest and backtrack the way I came to floor 1. I take a few steps south back to floor 2. I go south for the second chest, then west and north back to floor 1. I then go west, back to floor 2 again. Then it's northwest up to floor 3. Then it's south to reach floor 4 for the first time. I make my way out of this winding path, I ignore the teleporter to the south first and go north and east to my third chest. I then take that teleporter down to floor 3. Here I grab my fourth chest and return the way I came to floor 4. I then go east and take the first teleporter I see back to floor 3. Once again I grab my fifth and final chest here and return to floor 4. I go all the way east and then north. I go west, ignoring the first winding path and entering the one in the middle. I follow that path all the way back to floor 3. This puts me right in front of the card slot. The first chest gets me a Kristanish, some good armour for Rudolph. My next fight is against the Mezgamma's stronger cousin, the Furgamma. The second chest is an escape pipe. Considering I've only been using techniques to leave dungeons this episode, I forgot these even existed. Just as I reach floor 4 for the first time, Kain reaches level 15. I also get a new enemy type up here, the Coolie 61. Also another new one I unknowingly fast forwarded through, Twigman, a variant of Metal Man. My third chest gets me an Amber Robe. It's exclusive to Hugh and can cast res when used as an item. Except Hugh doesn't get used once this episode, or, spoiler, ever again until it's time to max out everyone's levels. The fourth chest is a crystal cape I give to Anna. The final chest is a crystal chest for Rolf. Anna reaches level 18 as I'm making my way through the final winding path. I reach the card slot and place the yellow card inside. That's half the dam's opened, time to leave. On the eastern side of the continent is the canal to the blue dam. Like the others, I need to use the blue card to get in. This one also adds another floor to the mix, meaning I now have 5 floors to deal with. After going through the door, I go south and east to floor 2. This takes me to my first chest and I go back to floor 1 the way I came. I go all the way northwest to go back to floor 2, then south and east to go to floor 3. I go southwest and all the way north to the corner, down to floor 2. I go southwest to my second chest and back to floor 3 the way I came. I go southwest a little to go up to floor 4, then a few steps east takes me to floor 5. I go southeast back to floor 4, grabbing my third chest on the way. I go east to open my fourth chest and drop down one of the pits to floor 3. It has to be in either the middle or the 2 right side ones, otherwise you'll land in the wrong spot and have to do it again. In the area I land in, I grab my 5th chest and go south to floor 2. I then go all the way west to get back to floor 1. I go north to get out of this enclosed area, then south for a while, then east and south some more back to floor 2. I go northeast to floor 3. I grab my 6th chest in here and backtrack to floor 2. I go west and north back up to floor 3. Then it's south back up to floor 4 again. Southwest gets me the 7th chest, then I go all the way east and north to get back up to floor 5. But then it's south, west and south back to floor 4. I then go south down to floor 3. I grab my 8th and final chest and backtrack to floor 4. I go west and back up to floor 5. I go north and east and drop down the pit. This puts me on a platform with this place's card slot. This place took one more image to explain than Climber Troll did. First chest is an antidote. Kane reaches level 16 on floor 1. These machines just blend together now, so of course I missed that I faced my first Atmeg here. The second chest is a Cressa gear, a good helmet for Rudolph. Another new enemy type here, the Van. The third chest has a Storm gear. Only Kane can equip this and it lets him have an unlimited free use Gizan when it's used as an item. The fourth chest is a colour scarf for Anna. It lets her use Sana when used as an item. Fifth chest is a Snow Crown. Only Amy can equip it and it lets her use Deban when used as an item. A couple floors later, Rudolph reaches level 18. Next fight has Rolf reach level 19. 6th chest gets me a Wind Scarf. Only Cher can equip this and it lets her use Zan when using it as an item. 7th chest is a Trimate. Not quite exclusive equipment like I've been getting the last few times, but these are always useful. Also on this floor is a new Wireface variant I speed through, the Podhead. The final item is a Star Mist. And then I reach that card slot and use the blue card to open this dam too. Just one left. I stop by home just to give Amy and Cher the Snow Crown and Wind Scarf before I forget. The final dam, the green dam, is reached from the north end of the continent. As usual, I open the door with the green card. This place has only 2 floors, but it's the most complicated of the lot. I start by going south to floor 2, then north and west to floor 1, then west to floor 2. I grab my first chest and go northwest to floor 1, then it's west back to floor 2. I go southwest all the way to the corner and then east back to floor 1. I go northeast and around to my second chest and then back to floor 2 the way I came. I backtrack the way I got here, but just before the teleporter there's this path leading outside the wall that I take. I follow it all the way east to the other side of the room. When I re-enter, I go east some more back to floor 1. I go all the way south my third chest and go back the way I came to floor 2. I go west, south, east past a pair of teleporters and north to my fourth chest. I then take the rightmost teleporter I passed to floor 1. I go all the way north for my 5th chest and back the way I came to floor 2. Then a couple steps west to floor 1, then west some more to floor 2, and finally it's west some more to the card slot. Not as many steps as the blue dam, but there's many more dead ends to run into. My first chest gets me Truth Sleeves. Only Cher can equip these and they cast res when used as an item. I also get Twig Tall, my third Metal Man. The next level up from Cooley61 is here, Monster. The second chest gets me a Telepipe. From the same fight, Anna reaches level 19 and Kane reaches level 17, learning Nagaj, a powered up version of Gaj. Soon after is the next Mez Gamma variant, the Kill Gamma. Another new enemy soon after, the Heavy Solid. The third chest is an Aegis, a strong shield. I give it to Kane since Rolf and Rudolph have their hands full with two-handed weapons. The fourth chest is some green sleeves. These cast Shimb when used as an item and can only be equipped by the women. Final chest is another Star Mist. And that's everything before I can insert that green card and shut off the final dam, preventing Motavia from being flooded. However, the second that dam is opened, I get attacked by 3 Army Eye. These are pretty much unkillable, and after a few turns they end the fight by trapping the party in plasma rings. We're suddenly imprisoned in the satellite Gyla for the crime of damaging the mother brain, to be held until our death sentence. I can't fight, but I still have to find my way out. I go north, take the first east, then south, east, north, east, south, west, south, east, north, east, and south to the control panel. These glowing tiles are damage tiles, so I have to make sure to heal regularly too. Since I can't fight, I have to run from all enemies, including these new whistle variants, the Tracer. Suddenly we hear a huge explosion and feel a massive force moving the satellite. We need to get to the control panel to fix it. On the way I get my next Polezi variant, the Polezis. I reach the control panel, but the screen goes black. Rolf once again has his dream of Alice fighting Dark Falls before he's woken up by Tyler, a space pirate. He left Palmer ages ago to get out from the Mother Brain's rule. He just happened to pass by and save Rolf, the rest of the party are currently being revived. Guyler was set on the crash course to Palmer and the planet was wiped out. I actually found this a bigger blow than Nay's death. We spent so much time in the first game on Palmer, it's where the series' first main character was from, so all those locations like Bortivo where we dug up Hapsby, Biomalay where we took on Lassic, and most importantly, Suelo's house in Kamini where we got all those free heals. If they weren't already long gone in the 1,000 years since, they certainly are now. Not to mention that, despite the effort Alice and her group went through to free the Algol system, after she was gone, it all went back to corruption right up to the end anyway. Tyler will drop us off back at Paseo and suggests we should go to Deseris, as he heard there is someone who can do things the Mother Brain can't. Back in Paseo, we return to the central tower to tell Commander Simmons we're doing this. He allows me use of the spaceship on the roof, but warns that we are still wanted fugitives, and that destroying Palmer has shown how desperate the Mother Brain is. However, Deseris is for next episode. I want to prepare a bit first. I replace Kane with Amy and buy her a ceramic cape and a mirror Emil. I then get to grinding. The first fight gets her to level 9 and teaches her Sar, which heals all allies. A few fights later she reaches level 10 and learns Sack. Then level 11 soon after. I decide the best place to grind is in the first room with the Green Dam since it has the strongest enemies. Rudolph reaches level 19 and Amy reaches level 12 and learns Nasak in the same fight. Then Rolf reaches level 20 and learns Nafu, a stronger Gifu. Next, Amy reaches level 13. 10 minutes later, Amy reaches level 14. This is where I'll be leaving it this episode. I enjoyed this more than last episode, as part 1 felt more like I was just playing setup for the rest of the game, and said setup took forever. Also, there was no dumb story moments like the Darum scene. However, a lot of my complaints still stand. The slow speed and especially the pointlessly huge dungeons designed out of spite. But we'll get my final thoughts on this game next episode, where I revisit Deseris finally and see what's changed there, as well as finally take on that Mother Brain.